was a genius alchemist, but my mate, Alpha Clark, engineered my failure 99 times, shattering my reputation. He siphoned my very soul 99 times to gift it to another she-wolf, Layla, molding her into the alchemy master I was meant to be. He claimed Layla was his savior, that he owed her his life. It wasn't until I uncovered his betrayal and severed our bond that he learned the truth. I was the one who had saved him. Those scars on my back, the ones he scorned, they were the price I paid for his life. After I walked away, he knelt for 99 days, begging for me to return. But some betrayals can never be forgiven. My mate, Alpha Clark, orchestrated 99 of my alchemical failures, all to steal my soul and gift it to another she-wolf. And I never suspected a thing. I had just spent 36 hours creating the Heart of Stars essence, a potion powerful enough to triple an alpha's strength. I had only one thought. He's going to love this. I remembered the first time I showed Clark my workshop. He'd looked at all my bottles and jars, then back at me, the awe and adoration in his eyes impossible to miss. Another time, I'd accidentally cut my hand on a glass shard, and he'd been more frantic than I was. He bandaged it clumsily, his voice a pained whisper in my ear. Myrna, these hands create miracles. They aren't meant for getting hurt. Miracles. I stared at the essence in the vial. This was just one more miracle I had created for him. Tonight was the victory celebration for his defeat of our northern rivals. This gift was perfect timing. I carefully sealed the Heart of Stars in a crystal vial, and left my underground workshop. But as I rushed toward the great hall and reached the terrace doors, I heard a sentence that made my blood run cold. Alpha, are you sure this is worth it? You've leaked Luna Myrna's alchemical secrets to Layla 99 times. It was Clark's beta Max. His voice was laced with worry. It's worth it, Clark replied without hesitation. Layla needs them. My fingers tightened around the crystal vial. Layla? But Luna is a genius alchemist, Max said, his voice low. Making her fail 99 times, that kind of blow to her confidence. Failure was the point. Clark cut him off coldly. The methods I gave her were flawed. They were never going to work. But from those failures, Layla has learned enough to master high-level alchemy. A sharp pain shot through my heart. My legs went weak, and I nearly collapsed. My mind flashed back to my worst failure, an explosion that nearly destroyed half my face. I'd sat in the rubble, sobbing and covered in soot. Clark had held me tight, gently kissing my tears away. He'd told me, "It's okay, Myrna. I'll still love you, even if you're not a genius anymore." So every one of my heart-wrenching breakdowns, every moment of relief after surviving a disaster, it was all just a stepping stone for another woman. It was all an act. Layla is a celebrated alchemy master now. Max's voice grew quieter. If anyone finds out, no one will find out, Clark said with absolute confidence. I've had Myrna trapped here for 5 years. She thinks her talent has dried up. She'll never know the truth. I leaned against the wall, the agony flaring through my mate bond almost making me black out. Alpha, Layla is using you, Max pressed. Once she bonds with her new mate, do you think she'll remember everything you've done? I don't care, Clark's voice hardened. If she hadn't saved me, I would have died at the hands of rogues. This is the only way I can repay her. Saved him? I looked down at my own hand. The eclipse scar was still there, a permanent mark from when I saved him 5 years ago. But in his mind, Layla was the hero. As for Myrna, Clark paused, a hint of pity creeping into his tone. Her pain is a necessary evil. The pressure of being a genius is a heavy burden. These failures will force her to accept her limits, give up her fantasies, and settle into her role as my Luna. It's for her own good. Click. The sound of the door handle turning. I quickly backed away, took a deep breath, and tried to walk onto the terrace as calmly as possible. Clark. I pushed the door open, a gentle smile on my face. Ivy said you were looking for me. Clark spun around. Panic flashed in his eyes before he masked it. Myrna. He walked toward me, arms open. I was just about to come find you. I sidestepped his embrace and held out the crystal vial. My hand was trembling. This is for you. My voice was steadier than I expected. Heart of Stars. To celebrate your victory. Clark took the vial and tried to take my hand, but he flinched at how cold my skin was. He frowned, his expression full of concern. Myrna, why are your hands so cold? I fought back tears and forced a smile that felt more like a grimace. The workshop, it must be colder than I thought. You always push yourself too hard, he sighed, reaching to put his arm around my shoulder. I dodged him again. How could he act so devoted to my face, while crushing my pride and my life's work behind my back? Clark looked confused, caught off guard by my sudden distance. I'm a little tired, I said, my voice weak. My spiritual energy is drained. I think I'll go rest. He seemed relieved by the excuse, his eyes returning to their usual look of adoration. I turned to leave, but Clark followed. I'll walk you back. I had brought him countless potions here, but this was the first time he'd ever offered to walk me back. This little bit of tenderness coming so late only made my stomach turn. Back at the house, I waited for an entire hour. Once I was sure Clark wouldn't be back soon, I walked to his study. In 5 years, he had never once let me inside. Tonight, it was time to see what secrets he was hiding. The rune lock on the door glowed softly. My hand trembled as I reached for it. First, I entered the date of our mating ceremony. Access denied, a cold, magical voice chimed. My heart sank. I tried the date I first successfully brewed a guardian potion for him. Access denied. I leaned against the door, a chill running through me. Clinging to a last, pathetic shred of hope, I entered the date I had nearly died saving his life 5 years ago. When access denied flashed on the screen again, my last illusion shattered. I closed my eyes, took a deep breath, and with a shaking hand, I typed in the one date I'd ever heard Clark speak with reverence. Layla's birthday. Access granted. The lock clicked open. The sound was so crisp, but my heart was in pieces. The secret room was larger than I'd imagined. The walls weren't covered in pictures, but in memory crystals, preserved with expensive magic. I shakily touched one, and Clark's perspective flooded my mind. He was watching Layla, his eyes full of obsession, as she created miracles at an alchemy bench using my rune designs. In the center of the room, surrounded by every trophy Layla had ever won, trophies that should have been mine, there was a glass display case. Inside was a single item, a withered black rose. It was the first Valentine's gift I had ever given him, 5 years ago. He had promised to preserve it with magic, to treasure it for a lifetime. So this was his treasured memory, left here to rot. I walked deeper into the room and found a smaller, rune-sealed safe. This time, I went straight for Layla's birthday. Inside there were no love letters, no keepsakes. Just 99 silver needles. Each one was numbered, from 1 to 99. And on the tip of every needle was a single, dried drop of blood. My blood. I picked up the first needle, and the memory hit me. It wasn't just blood. It was an alchemist's soul-infused blood, drawn from the heart. Every time an experiment failed, when I was exhausted and my spiritual defenses were at their weakest, Clark would hold me, gently stroking the back of my neck to comfort me. But now I knew. He wasn't comforting me. He was using a special needle to siphon my core talent, my very essence, to be absorbed by Layla. He wasn't just stealing my results. He was draining my very soul, drop by drop. My hand was shaking, but not from sorrow. From rage. At the very bottom of the safe lay a scroll. I unrolled it. It was a draft of a blood oath, written in magical ink. By the moon goddess, I, Clark Drake, pledge my life, my loyalty, and my pack's entire fortune to join Layla Green's pack, serving as her eternal night protector. As a show of my faith, I present the complete legacy of the ancient alchemists. I saw my own name at the bottom of the asset list, listed along with my alchemy equipment and ancient rune books as part of the offering. And next to my name, written in blood-red ink, was a humiliating note. Myrna Walker, talent depleted, but bloodline is viable, suitable as valuable breeding stock. Breeding stock. In that instant, the tear tracks on my face dried. The last bit of sorrow in my heart turned to ice-cold silence and a towering inferno of hate. I took out a memory crystal and recorded every piece of evidence. I didn't even realize fresh tears were streaming down my face until I was done. I wiped them away and, with a trembling hand, opened an encrypted comm link. Logan. A silver-haired man's face appeared on the screen. Logan Stone, one of the most powerful alphas of the North. Myrna. He frowned. What's wrong? Why are you calling so late? I accept your offer of alliance, I said, my voice steady. You can have my family's entire alchemy legacy, including the formula for the Philosopher's Stone. But I decide when we make it public. Logan was silent for a few seconds. What are your terms? Help me sever my mate bond, I said, forcing my voice not to crack. And help me destroy them. Done, Logan nodded. I'll send my warriors to get you immediately. No, not yet. I shook my head. 3 days from now. At Layla's consecration ceremony. I want her to watch her whole world burn to the ground at her moment of greatest triumph. I ended the call and put the device away. Footsteps on the stairs. Clark was back. I quickly put everything back, closed the secret door, and walked to the living room as if nothing had happened. Myrna. Clark pushed the door open and saw me on the couch. You're still awake? I was just comparing notes on runes with some explorers from the ancient ruins, I said, holding up my comm device. They found some interesting old arrays. A flicker of something, fear? Guilt? Crossed Clark's eyes. It's late. That's not good for you, he said, sitting next to me. Myrna, we need to talk. About what? Our future. He took my hand. I think it's time we considered having a child. An heir with your alchemy talent and my alpha blood. I looked at him as if seeing him for the first time. Are you sure? I asked. Now. Of course, his eyes were eager. We've been mated for 5 years. It's time to solidify our bond, to build a real family. Solidify our bond. Make sure I could never escape his control. I need time to think, I said, standing up. I'm too tired tonight. I'm going to bed. Clark stood up too. Of course. Take all the time you need, he said, kissing my forehead. Good night, my love. I went upstairs and locked my bedroom door. Then I opened another encrypted comm and began drafting a document. To the Alchemist Division of the Werewolf Elders Council. Application to perform the rite of severance for a mate bond. After sending it, I opened another screen and booked a private flight off the continent in 3 days. Destination: the Northern Territories. I heard Clark's study door close downstairs. I lay down on my bed, clearing my mind of all emotion. Go ahead, Clark. Check on your secret room. But you'll never guess that the prey has become the hunter. The next morning, I walked to the Elders' Council. The whispers on the street, the mockery about me being a has-been or lucky, no longer bothered me. Fools. The clerk at the council office took my document. He glanced at the title, gave me a look like I was insane, and then let out a contemptuous snort. Luna, don't be ridiculous. Alpha Clark adores you. If anything, you're the one who doesn't deserve him. Instead of making trouble, you should focus on improving your pathetic alchemy skills. I stared at him, my face blank. When will it be approved? I suggest you reconsider. I don't need to. I turned and left, heading straight for Clark's office. As I approached the door, I heard a familiar laugh. Layla's voice. Oh, Clark, you're too good to me, she cooed, her voice sickeningly sweet. But this is so precious. I couldn't possibly accept. Take it. Clark's voice was so gentle I barely recognized it. You deserve it. No one deserves it more. I peeked through a crack in the door. Clark was handing Layla a stone that glowed with a purple light. It was a soul stone containing my latest breakthrough. A project that took me 3 months to complete. But Myrna, Layla took the stone, pretending to hesitate. Does she know you're giving this to me? Won't she be heartbroken? She won't know, Clark said, stroking Layla's cheek. And it wouldn't matter if she did. You're the only one who can unlock its true potential. She is your mate after all, Layla said, looking down. I don't want to ruin your relationship. Layla. Clark tilted her chin up. You will always be the most important person to me. Nothing will ever change that. My nails dug into my palms. Just then, the soul stone slipped from Layla's hand, clattering on the floor. They both whipped their heads around and saw me in the doorway. Myrna. Clark's face went white. When did you? Just now, I said, pushing the door open and walking in casually. I heard Layla's coronation is tomorrow. I came to congratulate her. Layla quickly bent down to pick up the stone. She tried to look apologetic, but her eyes were full of defiance. Myrna, don't explain. I cut her off, a placid smile on my face. I support whatever Clark chooses to do. Clark looked at me, his eyes a mix of confusion and guilt. Myrna, it's not what you think. And what do I think? I tilted my head. I think Layla is incredibly talented. She deserves the best. Layla clutched the soul stone, looking at me as if I were an idiot. You're too kind, sister, she said with a sweet smile. I'll be sure to treasure it. Good, I said, turning to Clark. I have things to do, so I'll be going. You two have fun. As I left the office, I heard Clark start to follow, but Layla stopped him. Let her go, Clark. She needs time to accept that the genius is gone. Genius? If I'm not, is a thief like Layla? That night, I sat alone in my room, organizing what I would need for the next day. Suddenly, a piercing pain shot through me. The mental link between mates had been forced open. Layla's voice echoed in my mind. Look at this, Myrna. An image formed before my eyes. By a moonlit lake, Clark was gently kissing Layla's wrist. On her pale skin was a freshly drawn alchemy rune. A complex pattern of moonlight and mercury that glowed with an eternal light. It was the rune of eternal bonding. It should have been mine. Beautiful, isn't it? Layla's voice was dripping with malice. Clark drew it for me himself. He said it represents a true, pure love. She paused, her tone growing even more venomous. Oh, by the way, the rune is in just the right spot to cover that ugly scar you got saving him. Clark said he was sick of looking at it, that it was a constant reminder of his weakness. Now it's covered forever by our love. Isn't that perfect? The vision faded. I wiped a trickle of blood from my lip. Forcing a mental link hurts both parties, but clearly Layla didn't care. Fine. Tomorrow was Judgment Day. The next morning, I put on my most formal gown and went to the temple. But 2 guards blocked my path at the main gate. Apologies, Myrna, one of them said. You are not permitted to enter. Why not? Alpha Clark's orders, the guard said, his face a mask. Your spirit is tainted by failure. You are not worthy of entering the sacred grounds of the temple. The gathered guests began to point and whisper. Even her own mate doesn't trust her. She really has fallen. How disgraceful. I stood outside the gates, enduring the scornful stares of everyone. This was Clark's final gift to me. When a voice stopped him, Layla, dressed in a magnificent silver gown, glided over, her face a mask of concern. Sister Myrna? What are you doing out here? She turned to the guards. Let her in. Then, in a soft voice loud enough for everyone to hear, she said to me, Myrna, I know you've been under a lot of stress lately. All the failures, you've even started to suspect someone is sabotaging your work. A ripple of suppressed laughter went through the crowd. Layla pretended not to hear. I even wonder if Myrna thinks I've been borrowing her ideas. But a genius's inspiration never runs dry, does it? She put extra emphasis on the word borrowing. Jealous. Delusional. Crazy. I had become a laughingstock. Just then Clark appeared. What's going on? He asked, striding over. Clark. Layla immediately ran to him. Clark glanced at me, a flash of irritation in his eyes. He then turned to the crowd and announced in a placating tone. Everyone, my apologies for the disturbance. This is Myrna. She's been mentally unstable recently, imagining conspiracies against her. Layla has a kind heart, and insisted on bringing her inside. Please bear with her. Just think of her as a charity case. A charity case. In front of all the nobles, he personally stripped me of my last shred of dignity and ground it into the dirt. Inside the golden temple, Layla stood at the altar, basking in everyone's praise. Halfway through the ceremony, I slipped out of the main hall. Layla followed me into the corridor, her eyes glinting with undisguised malice. Congratulations, I said calmly. This isn't all I want, Layla sneered, her eyes wild. I want to destroy you, because you have something I can never have. Why? Why were you born with everything while I had to claw my way out of the mud? So you stole my research. Stole. Layla laughed. That's nothing compared to what your parents left you. Without their ancient legacy, you're nothing. She suddenly leaned in close, her voice a low hiss. Aren't you curious? About how your genius parents died in an accidental alchemy explosion. My blood froze. Layla's smile turned monstrous. I'm the one who planted the unstable catalyst that caused that accidental explosion. I'm the one who ended the Walker family line. As they died, they were screaming your name. Myrna, save us. Myrna. Rage, hot as lava, erupted inside me. My wolf broke free. Claws shot from my fingertips as I lunged for her face. You monster. Layla was ready. She stumbled back, deliberately tripping on her own dress. Ah, she shrieked. Help. Myrna is trying to kill me. The bloody scratches I'd left on her face made her look utterly pathetic. Clark rushed in with a squad of guards. His eyes landed on Layla on the floor, and he exploded with fury. She killed my parents. I screamed. She admitted it. She used a blood-scent catalyst. Nonsense. Clark shoved me away so hard I staggered back. You've gone insane. Your jealousy has finally broken you. He knelt, gently helping Layla up, then stood and glared at me. Guards, remove her from these sacred grounds. From this day forward, she is banished from all holy sites. Get her out of here. Clark's command was a blade to my heart. Two tall guards grabbed me roughly, dragging me toward the temple doors like a dead dog. My knees scraped raw on the cold marble, my beautiful gown tearing. Behind me, I could hear Layla's triumphant sobs and see Clark's cold, retreating back. Around me, I saw the scorn, pity, and smug satisfaction in the eyes of the guests. They threw me onto the stone steps outside the temple, like a piece of trash. Was I in despair? No. I pushed myself up from the ground, slowly, inch by inch. I dusted myself off and straightened my ruined dress. I didn't cry. Instead, I laughed. As everyone stared in shock, I lifted my head. My laughter echoed across the plaza, drowning out the hypocritical hymns from inside. Clark Drake, I yelled for all to hear. Your biggest mistake wasn't betraying me. It's that you have no idea what, or who, you've just thrown away. The moment the words left my lips, boom. With a deafening roar, the grand doors of the temple were blown inward off their hinges. Shrapnel flew everywhere. And from the smoke and chaos, the Lord of the North, Logan Stone, strode forward. Inside the temple, the statue of the moon goddess glowed with a holy silver light. Layla knelt at the altar. A crown of pure silver and moonstone floated just above her. By the moon goddess Layla Green, do you accept the sacred duty of the daughter of the moon? The high priest's voice boomed. I do. Layla's voice was clear and lovely. The guests held their breath, ready to witness this historic moment. Crash. The temple doors, or what was left of them, were flung open. A troop of warriors in black armor marched in, the silver wolf crest of the north gleaming on their chests. Leading them was a tall, silver-haired man whose powerful presence sent a tremor through the entire temple. Logan Stone. Who dares interrupt this sacred rite? The high priest roared. Clark rose from the VIP section, his eyes burning with fury. Logan, what is the meaning of this? I'm here to fulfill a promise. Logan's voice was deep and commanding. His gaze swept over every alpha in the room. And to inform you all that you are not here to witness a coronation. You are here to witness the unmasking of a fraud. What did you say? Layla shot up from the altar, her face pale. I said, Layla Green, you stole another's work, faked your talent, and deceived the entire wolf society. Logan held up a crystal sphere, filled with swirling images. On behalf of the Northern Packs, I formally submit this evidence to the Elders' Council. Clark's face was a mask of rage. Logan, on what grounds do you slander Layla? Her achievements are there for all to see. Are they? Logan sneered. Then perhaps you can explain why the true alchemy master, Myrna Walker, has pledged her family's entire legacy, a treasure beyond measure, in a permanent alliance with my pack. The hall erupted in chaos. The value of 100 gold mines, in exchange for an alliance with a failure? One alpha shouted. Logan, have you lost your mind? I'm not the one who's lost his mind, Logan said, holding the crystal high. You're the ones who have been blinded. The crystal sphere flared with a blinding light. Instantly, a flood of images poured into everyone's minds. The 99 blood-tipped needles in the secret room. The recording of Clark giving flawed formulas to Layla. The draft of the blood oath. The recording of Layla admitting to the murder of my parents. Every piece of evidence was a thunderclap, shaking everyone present to their core. No. It's not possible. Layla shrieked. It's all fake. Forged. Forged. Logan's eyes glinted dangerously. Then explain how in just a few years you mastered ancient alchemy that takes decades to comprehend. Layla stood speechless, unable to answer. Clark's face was ashen. Alpha Clark, an elderly alpha, stood, his voice trembling. This evidence. It's all real. A calm female voice came from the back of the temple. Every head turned. I walked slowly into the hall. But I was a different woman. The tattered gown was gone, replaced by the formal battle armor of the northern packs. Ancient runes were etched into the silver breastplate, and a black cloak billowed behind me. Myrna. Clark's voice shook. You 5 years, Clark. My voice was terrifyingly calm. For 5 years, you made me believe I was worthless. You made me cry after every failure, doubt my own talent, and depend on you. I walked to the altar and stared directly at Layla. But the most foolish thing I did was believe in your little love story. Myrna, let me explain. Clark started towards me. Explain. I turned on him, my eyes filled with ice-cold mockery. Explain how you kissed me while you were stealing my blood for her? Explain how you said you loved me while you were planning to offer me up as a gift to her pack. The hall fell silent. Every alpha was staring at Clark in utter shock. You want proof? I held up my right hand, and a golden flame ignited in my palm. This is the true alchemist's fire. Can you do that, Layla? Layla trembled, unable to speak. And this? With a wave of my hand, a complex array appeared in the air. The core conversion formula for the Philosopher's Stone. The complete version. Every alchemist in the room gasped. Impossible, one master stammered. An array of that level requires centuries of lineage. Correct, I nodded. It is the legacy my parents left me, and it's the ultimate prize Layla has been trying to steal. I turned back to Clark, my eyes blazing with righteous fire. Did you think that by destroying my confidence and making me dependent, you could control me forever? Did you think I would never find out the truth? Clark finally broke. He fell to his knees, his hands clutching his head. Myrna, I was wrong. I was so wrong. You know that now? My voice was like ice. When you watched me sob over every failure, what were you thinking? When you gave her my blood, what were you thinking? Clark couldn't answer. He just howled in anguish. Suddenly Layla lunged at me. It's all your fault. All of it. Her eyes were wild with madness. If you just died, this would all be over. A silver dagger appeared in her hand. But before she could reach me, Logan's hand shot out and closed around her throat. Enough. His voice was merciless. Layla Green, you are charged with murder, theft of a sacred legacy, and high treason. By werewolf law, you will face the judgment of the elders. With a nod to his guards, Logan took my hand and began to lead me from the temple. In that moment, reality crashed down on Clark. Myrna, he roared, lunging toward me in desperation. Don't go. Let me explain. But he was a step too late. Logan didn't spare him a glance. A brilliant silver light erupted from him, and in the space of a heartbeat, he stood before me as a massive, majestic silver dire wolf. The great wolf lowered his head, nudging me gently with the soft fur of his neck in a silent invitation to climb onto his back. I didn't hesitate. I swung myself onto his broad back, and in a blur of silver, we vanished into the night. Clark's POV. No! I roared, my vision blurring with rage as I watched her climb onto another wolf's back. I tried to lunge after them, but Layla's arms were wrapped around my leg like a vice. Despite the guards holding her, she had thrown herself at me, sobbing hysterically. Clark, save me. You can't leave me. You promised you'd protect me. Get off me. I snarled, a wave of pure loathing washing over me as I kicked her away. Face your judgment alone. But that single moment's delay cost me everything. The silver dire wolf let out a howl that split the air, and then simply vanished. I had lost. Everything was over. Myrna, I breathed her name, and then my vision went red. The shift took me, rage and despair fueling the transformation. I tore off in the direction she had gone, a desperate howl ripping from my own throat. I ran wildly, casting for any trace of her scent on the wind, but there was nothing. Loganstone had taken her, and he'd left not a single trace behind. The mate bond seared in my chest, a constant, agonizing pain that offered no direction, no hope. I howled my grief and fury at the borders of my territory for what felt like an eternity, but only the wind answered back. For 3 days I ran. I searched every corner of our lands until my lungs burned and my paws bled, until I finally collapsed from exhaustion. I shifted back, bruised and broken, and staggered back to the villa. The moment I pushed the door open, a dead silence greeted me. I stared at the empty sofa in the living room, a ghost of a memory haunting me. No matter how late I came home, she would always be there waiting for me. The moment I walked in, her head would snap up, her eyes finding mine. Myrna, I rasped into the empty air. I'm home. No answer. This time there would never be an answer. I charged upstairs and threw open our bedroom door. The closet was empty. Her clothes, her books, her alchemy equipment. Everything that was hers was gone. She had wiped herself clean from this place, as if she had never existed. No. I tore the closet doors off their hinges, frantically searching the empty space. Myrna, where are you? I collapsed onto the floor, my head in my hands. The pain from the mate bond was tearing me apart. Arg. I let out an agonized howl that echoed through the empty house. She was really gone. She had really left me. I crawled downstairs, desperate to find any sign that she was still here. A document was lying on the dining table. I picked it up with a shaking hand. Alchemist Division of the Werewolf Elders Council. Application for right of severance of a mate bond applicant. Myrna Walker reason. Spousal betrayal, rendering the bond void of meaning. Signature. Myrna Walker. Her signature was sharp and decisive, without a hint of hesitation. No. I tore the paper to shreds, but the pieces on the floor still screamed her resolve. A wave of pain so immense it felt physical, washed over me. My vision blurred, and the world went dark. Alpha. Alpha. The butler's voice pulled me back from the edge. I opened my eyes to find myself on the living room floor. Father is here, the butler said, his face pale. He's furious. Crash. The front door was thrown open. My father, the Alpha Emeritus, stormed in, his face a thundercloud. You worthless fool. He hauled me up from the floor. Do you have any idea what you've done? I stared at him, dazed. 3 of our most important allies have severed their ties, he roared, his voice shaking the entire villa. The Northern Alliance has blacklisted us. The elders are demanding we relinquish our authority. What? How dare you ask what? My father slapped me hard across the face. 5 years. For 5 years you've been carrying on this disgusting affair behind everyone's back. My cheek stung. And now the entire werewolf world knows. They know the heir to the great house of Drake is a common thief who stole his mate's work. A pathetic mutt who betrayed his wife for his true love. Every word was a knife in my heart. Where is Myrna? My father demanded, grabbing my collar. Where is the true alchemy master? I don't know, I choked out. She's gone. Gone. He let go of me, his expression turning to one of disbelief. You drove her away? It wasn't me. Then who was it? He bellowed. Your precious Layla? The murderer? I couldn't answer. Let me tell you something, Clark. My father's voice turned to ice. Myrna Walker is now under the protection of the most powerful pack in the North. Her location is completely shielded. Without her forgiveness, the House of Drake is finished. Then I'll find her. You think you have the right to face her? He sneered. As what? A betrayer? A thief? An accomplice to a murderer? I was completely and utterly broken. The pack's reputation is in ruins, my father said, turning to leave. I want a solution in 3 days. If not, you are no longer my son. Slam. The door shut, leaving me alone in the vast, empty villa. No laughter. No scent of her. No sign of her bustling in the kitchen. There was nothing left here but me and my endless regret. Myrna's POV. I stood on the highest balcony of the northern Pax fortress, looking down at the city lights below. The night wind whipped my black cloak around me, the silver breastplate gleaming in the moonlight. How does it feel? Logan asked, coming to stand beside me. Good. My voice was as calm as still water. Better than I ever imagined. Clark. His pain is not my problem. I cut him off. From now on, I live for myself. Logan nodded. So, are you ready to be a true queen? I turned and looked out at the lands that would soon be mine. From now on, the only person I bow to is myself. Clark's POV. Alpha, still no word from the north. I put down my glass of whiskey and looked at the butler. Keep looking. But sir, our funds. Sell the 3 foundries in the East District. My voice was a raw whisper. Keep looking. The butler hesitated. Alpha, perhaps you should give up. Luna Myrna chose to. Get out. I smashed the glass, the shards cutting my palm. Blood dripped onto the carpet, a mirror of my shattered heart. 3 weeks. For 3 solid weeks, I had used every contact I had, and still, there was no trace of her. It was as if she had vanished from the earth. Alpha, another subordinate rushed in. We have news from the Elders' prison. What is it? Layla Green wants to see you. She says it's important. I let out a cold, bitter laugh. She still has the nerve to see me? She's been screaming for you. The warden says she's on the verge of a breakdown. I stood up and straightened my clothes. Let's go. It's time to put the past to rest. The Elders' underground prison was a grim, terrifying place. The silver-barred cells glowed with a cold light, designed specifically for high-risk criminals. Clark. Clark. Layla's voice echoed from the deepest cell. I walked up to her cage. The once beautiful Layla was now a disheveled wreck, her hair matted and her eyes wild. Silver manacles, which burn werewolf skin, were clamped on her wrists and ankles, the flesh beneath them raw and bloody. You finally came, she cried, lunging at the bars. Clark, save me. You can't let them kill me. And why not? I stared at her coldly. You murdered Myrna's parents. You stole her life's work. You destroyed her. It was all for you, she shrieked. Everything I did for you. For me. I laughed, a harsh, ugly sound. You murdered for me? You lied for me. Yes. Tears streamed from her eyes. Because I love you. I've loved you. Since we were pups. Love. My voice dripped with sarcasm. You call this love? That bitch Myrna stole everything that should have been mine. Layla shook the bars frantically. The talent, the status, and you. Why was she born with everything? Because she was better than you. My reply was simple and brutal. Better in every single way. Layla froze. What did you say? I said you could never compare to her. I said, enunciating every word. Not in talent, not in character, and not in beauty. You are nothing but a jealous, pathetic clown. No. Layla completely broke down. You can't do this to me. I saved your life. Enough. I cut her off. Stop with the lies. Lies. Layla stopped crying, a vicious light entering her eyes. You want the truth, Clark? What truth? Did you really think I saved you? She began to laugh, a shrill, piercing sound. You idiot. You absolute, complete idiot. I frowned. What are you talking about? I was there that night, 5 years ago. Layla's smile twisted into a grotesque mask. But I was just hiding behind a tree, watching the show. The blood in my veins turned to ice. I watched the rogues surround you. I watched you start to die, she continued. I was going to wait until you were dead to come out and collect the body. Impossible. It was Myrna who saved you. Layla screamed. The woman you betrayed for 5 years. She was the one who saved you. She ran into that pack of rogues and used her own body to block the killing blow. My world started to crumble. The scar on her back, that eclipse scar, that's what she got for saving you. Layla was cackling now. And me? I just dragged her out after she passed out from the pain, and let everyone think it was me. No, that's the truth. Layla's voice was pure venom. You betrayed the only person who ever truly loved you. You ruined your own life for a fraud. You deserve every bit of this. A volcano of rage erupted in my chest. My wolf took over. My eyes turned gold, and claws shot from my fingertips. You bitch. I lunged at the cell, my claws tearing through the silver bars like paper. Layla scrambled back in terror, but it was too late. My claws ripped her dress, revealing the pale skin of her back. It was smooth, flawless. There was no scar. And Myrna had a hideous scar running from her left shoulder to her right hip. The scar I had touched 1,000 times, but never once asked where it came from. Moon goddess, I collapsed. What have I done? You regret it now. Layla sat on the floor, her eyes filled with malicious glee. It's too late, Clark. It's far too late. I stumbled out of the prison. Layla's laughter echoed in my head. 5 years. For 5 years, I had betrayed my savior. I had treated my most precious treasure like a tool. I had personally destroyed the only person who ever truly loved me. Alpha. The butler ran up to me. There's news. What is it? We found the Luna, he said, panting. She's in the stone. Pax territory in the north. But what? They've set their price for a meeting. The butler swallowed hard. Half of your family's entire fortune. I didn't hesitate. Give it to them, I said, turning and starting to walk north. Give it to them now. Whatever it took. I had to see her. I had to apologize. I had to kneel before her and repent. I had to tell her I finally knew the truth. Myrna's POV, 1 month later. Myrna, you have a visitor. I looked up from the ancient rune book I was studying and met Logan's gaze. Who? Clark Drake, Logan said, his voice laced with contempt. He paid a steep price for this meeting. What price? Half of the Drake family's mines, control of 3 cities, and their entire 200-year-old collection of alchemy texts. I let out a small, humorless laugh. Let him in. A few minutes later, the doors to the great hall opened. The man who walked in was almost unrecognizable. Clark had lost at least 20 pounds. His eyes were sunken, his face unshaven. The once impeccable suits were gone, replaced by a rumpled shirt. Even his expensive watch was missing. The moment he saw me, a desperate light ignited in his eyes. Myrna. He started to rush toward me, but 2 of my guards immediately stepped in his way. Don't touch her, one of them warned coldly. Clark stopped, tears welling in his eyes. Myrna, I've been looking everywhere for you, his voice trembled. Please let me explain. I never meant to hurt you. I just stared at him, my expression unreadable. It's been 5 years, Clark. What is there to explain now? About Layla, about the research, he said urgently. I always thought she was the one who saved me. That night, when the rogues attacked, I thought. You thought what? I thought Layla was the one who risked her life for me. Tears streamed down his cheeks. So when she asked for my help, I couldn't say no. I thought I was just lending her a few flauteries. I didn't know she would. You didn't know she would what? I stood up. Didn't know she would murder my parents? Didn't know she would steal my entire legacy? Or didn't know she would humiliate me in front of the world? Clark was speechless. Or, I continued. Did you know all along and just chose to look the other way? No. I really didn't know. Then what about this? I turned my back to him and unfastened the top of my tunic. A gruesome scar ran from my left shoulder to my right hip. The eclipse curse had turned it a sickly silver black, and it still seemed to writhe slowly, eating away at my life force. Clark's breath hitched. That scar. His voice was barely a whisper. This scar. You've touched it countless times, haven't you? I refastened my tunic and turned back to face him. Every time we were in bed. Every time you said you loved me. Every time you held me. Myrna. I was the one who saved you, Clark. My voice was terrifyingly calm. I saved you with this scar that will never heal. And you gave the credit for my sacrifice to someone else. Clark shattered. His composure crumbled, and he dropped to his knees, burying his face in his hands and sobbing. I was wrong. I was wrong about everything. Myrna, please forgive me. I'll do anything to make it up to you. Anything. I sneered. Like turning on your precious Layla? Like admitting what you did for 5 years? Like repenting in front of everyone? Yes. He looked up, his eyes filled with desperate hope. I'll do anything if you'll just come back to me. It's too late. I sat back down, my voice flat and empty. The bond must be severed. The past can't be undone. The color drained from Clark's face. What was the price you paid to see me? I asked. Half of the Drake family fortune, Logan answered for him. And their honor. The entire Drake pack is facing bankruptcy. I nodded. Good. That is the price of betrayal. Clark looked at me with utter desperation. Myrna, we were in love once. All those good memories. Good memories? I cut him off. You mean the memories of you kissing me while you collected my blood? Or the memories of you saying you loved me while you treated me like a tool? Go home, Clark, I stood. Don't ever come looking for me again. The next time we meet, it will be as enemies. The guards moved forward to escort him out. Clark struggled to his feet and gave me one last look. Myrna, if there's a next life, I finished for him. I hope we never meet. He was led away. The hall was quiet again. Logan looked at me. Are you okay? I'm fine, I said, picking up my rune book again. Better than ever. I put the book down and walked to the window. In the distance, a lone figure was walking away into the sunset. I scoffed internally. He trampled me when I had nothing and now tries to buy me back with a fortune he no longer has. His love is as cheap as his honor. Prepare the next phase of the plan, I told Logan. Since he loves paying a price, let's make him pay more. A few days after Clark was thrown out of the Northern Territories, he reappeared at the border, kneeling, begging for my forgiveness. On day 1, the guards reported it. I didn't even look up. Let him kneel. On day 15, he was still there, through sun and rain. On day 50, a guard reported he was so thin he could no longer shift. I replied coldly, he's doing this voluntarily. He can leave any time he wants. On day 98, the guard said he was dying. I remained unmoved. But on day 99, as I was studying a new rune array, I heard a commotion outside. My lady, a guard burst in. Alpha Clark is blocking your carriage. I frowned. How did he get in? He brought a blood moon flower. The guards didn't dare stop him. A blood moon flower. A sacred flower born of alchemy, so rare one was worth an entire city. Stop the carriage. I stepped out of the fortress and saw Clark kneeling in front of my carriage. He was skin and bones, his eyes sunken, but he was holding the breathtakingly beautiful flower with delicate care. Its blood-red petals shimmered, each one pulsing with pure life force. Myrna. His voice was a raw rasp. 99 days. Ik knelt voor 99 days. I traded my last remaining assets for this flower. I stared at him, my face a blank slate. 99 days of penance. Will you come back to me? The surrounding guards held their breath. I was silent for a long time. Fine. A brilliant light sparked in Clark's eyes. Really? You'll forgive me? I accept your apology, I said, taking the flower from him. You can go now. Clark froze. What? I accept your apology. That doesn't mean I forgive you, I said, turning to get into my carriage. And it certainly doesn't mean I'm coming back. No. Clark shot to his feet and grabbed my wrist. You can't do this. I gave up everything. I wrenched my arm free. What did you give up? Money? Time? Your dignity? I knelt for 99 days, he screamed, his voice turning hysterical. I gave up everything I had left to beg for your forgiveness. That's what you should have done. I spun around, my eyes blazing with fire. You think kneeling for 99 days erases 5 years of betrayal? You think it absolves you of the 99 failures you engineered to destroy me? I was wrong. I know I was wrong. What were you wrong about? I advanced on him. Were you wrong because you got caught? Because your plan failed? Or because you underestimated my value? Clark was speechless. Did you think I didn't know? I sneered. Did you think I didn't know your original plan? What plan? To marry Layla and keep me as your secret alchemist and broodmare. My voice was sharp as a blade. To fuel your love story with my alchemy and have me bear children with your bloodline. Clark's face turned white as a sheet. I never. The blood oath draft was very clear. I cut him off. You were going to offer me as a bonus gift to Layla's pact to become her knight protector. That was just a draft. I never meant to actually. You never meant to? I laughed, a harsh, cold sound. Clark, do you really think I'm a fool? I stood before him, my voice dropping to an icy whisper. For 5 years, you watched me cry after every failure. You watched me doubt my own talent. Watched me grow dependent on you. You savored the power you held over me, reveled in my devotion. That's not true. You allowed your pack to humiliate me, allowed other alphas to treat me like a joke. When everyone called me a failure, what were you thinking? When they all said I didn't deserve you, what were you thinking? Clark couldn't answer, just shook his head in anguish. The most pathetic part is that you actually believe you're the victim. My voice dripped with contempt. You think Layla tricked you, that love made you do it. But the truth is you're just a selfish, cowardly, greedy bastard. Enough. Clark finally snapped. You're the one who's being cruel. You won't even give me a chance. Ik knelt voor nitinides. Cruel. I was. Livid. Then let me show you what real cruelty looks like. I raised my hand, and a massive array materialized in the air. You profited from the alchemy legacy my parents left me. The array pulsed with blinding light. You let Layla murder my parents. You allowed your people to humiliate me. You shamed me in front of the entire world. With every word, the array grew brighter. And most importantly, my voice thundered across the plaza. You wanted to be deceived. You chose to believe Layla's lies because it made it easier for you to betray me. The array reached its peak, the light so intense everyone had to look away. You never loved me. You only loved the feeling of having power over me. Boom. The array exploded. Clark was thrown backward by the shockwave, slamming hard into the ground. He struggled to get up, his face covered in blood. Myrna. Get out, I said, climbing into my carriage. And never let me see you again. The carriage began to move. Through the window, I could see Clark kneeling on the ground, sobbing in the direction I was leaving. But I felt nothing. 1 week later, the final verdict from the Elders' Council arrived. I took the gold-trimmed document. Final verdict of the Werewolf Elders' Council. 1. That the mate bond between Clark Drake and Myrna Walker is hereby formally severed. 2. Layla Green, for high treason and murder, is sentenced to death, to be carried out immediately. 3. Clark Drake, for gross dereliction of duty and complicity in treason, is stripped of his alpha title and sentenced to 3 years of exile. 4. All remaining assets of the Drake Pack are to be transferred to Myrna Walker as reparations. I finished reading and walked out onto the balcony. The moonlight spilled over the land like silver water. I held up the verdict, and a golden alchemist's flame flickered at my fingertips. The paper instantly ignited, turning to ash that scattered on the wind. From this day forward, the past no longer exists. I looked up at the stars. Myrna Walker is dead. The moonlight coalesced around me, forming an invisible crown. Now, only the queen remains.